now, welcome to the Great Cigar and Pipe Show. Presented by Hiram Solomon Cigars, the Oliva Cigar family, and the J.C. Newman Cigar Company. Coming to you live from the Corona Cigar Company studios. Oh, yes, indeed.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great show. Yes, we are the Cigar Show here, folks, and we're excited because it's Ladies' Night tonight, and we always have a fantastic crowd for Ladies' Night, and they always seem to come with amazing guests, and we are so excited about having these guests this evening.
Let's bring Jerah and Cathy on. This way we'll get them situated. There we go.
And they're the lady co-hosts.
Hello, ladies. What's going on? Like, I'm liking the vibe. Hold on, Jeff.
Jerah's, where are you? In your bedroom? Are you laying
in her bedroom?
On your bed?
She's in her safe place.
I had to make sure that my house wasn't going to float away today because of the Texas weather, and so I can't go smoke outside, unfortunately, because it's raining again. So this is my bed with my fun reading lights and my camo hat, and
nice.
Boom,
Look at
boom.
you. We get a little.
Well, we want to stop right there. We don't want to hear what else goes on in the bed now.
Oh, Bob.
Something that you haven't done in many, many years.
Hey, don't talk about Mary that way.
Wow, wait.
Well, Bob has memories. Anyway,
And Frank videotapes everything.
oh boy. God bless us all, everyone, as they say.
So let's talk about a show. Let's do a show, actually.
Let's do a show tonight. Tonight, I what did I do last week? Oh, I smoked.
Remember what you did yesterday?
No, I always remember exactly what I did. This weekend was great because I went to the Rangers.
There you go.
Playoff game in Sunrise, Florida, against the Panthers, and they won in overtime. Go Rangers! They're playing tonight.
Fuck the Panthers. Fuck the Panthers.
So I had to take my time away from watching the Ranger game and dedicate it here. So that's how dedicated I am.
You are dedicated.
I'm a very
dedicated man.
Very dedicated.
But he'll be complaining to all of us tomorrow.
I'll be complaining that, especially if they win or if they lose, I didn't get a chance to watch it.
They have to win.
They don't have to win, but it'd be nice.
No, they have to.
It'll be nice.
They should do it 2 years in a row. We would love that.
Yeah.
So now, the most important thing tonight is hopefully everybody's smoking a good cigar.
Except Jerah. She's doing other things.
She can't do that. No, she can't do that. She doesn't do it in the house.
Well,
you'll give me trouble if you're not smoking.
Hold on. I don't know
that. Cathy too. Cathy too is another one. Doesn't smoke in the house.
Right.
Unbelievable.
But
I don't smoke.
I don't know that we've really talked about the most important thing in baseball that's happened.
What is that?
Angel Hernandez is retiring.
Yeah, baby.
Arguably,
I can't stand that piece of you know what.
Yeah, arguably the worst MLB umpire on earth.
So what are you talking about him for?
Behind home plate.
31 years.
And he's finally retiring. And so, I think that what's really hilarious, and you don't really hear this a lot in baseball, but people don't really talk enough about how he actually tried to sue Major League Baseball for racism, for not putting him in MLB playoff games. And do you know what they did? They literally just wheeled out a television and they started playing his highlights and showed him what dog shit he was at his job. And then lawsuit dropped.
Yep.
Ah, nice.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the way
31 years too long, man. He was the absolute worst.
He was the worst. So we should cheers to celebrating Angel Hernandez.
Good riddance. Good riddance.
He was no angel.
Good riddance. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Right.
That's good. I'm smoking a Rebellion cigar.
Oh,
very nice. It's called Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh,
little Guns N' Roses in there.
The music of my generation. I love it, Frank.
Oh,
5
God.
o'clock
Maybe
hour.
don't
I
worry.
had the
Her
other day.
generation. Her
Wait.
generation, Frank. She
You
said.
were old enough in the 80s to listen to the radio?
No.
I got away with a lot of stuff. Okay, I had older cousins.
Oh,
Older
God.
cousins.
You know,
No, wait
actually,
till Jerah gets
I
hit with my
remember.
chute questions.
I remember Nikki snuck me a salt and pepper tape one time, and
Oh my God.
and
What's a
I got
salt
in so
and
much
pepper?
trouble
Salt
for it.
and
But
pepper.
then
That's a band. That's a
Fast forward.
threesome, Bob. They're
That's
saying.
a what?
Forward.
Threesome?
No, it's not a threesome. It's a
I'll go
twosome.
for that.
That would be salt, pepper, and a steak.
Bob,
Salt,
Bob,
pepper, on a nice tomahawk. Yeah.
But then fast forward, like all these big like 90s, you know, music acts all went on tour together, and they would do like little 10 or 15-minute sets. And so Salt and Pepper comes out, and I'm like 34, 35 when I'm here, and it was up at Choctaw, Oklahoma. And Saul gets up there, she gets on the mic, and she's like, "Hey, we just want to like apologize for like all the trouble that you got in for listening to our music when you were teenagers."
oh my God.
Oh,
She was like, "We just want to acknowledge how much trouble we caused your parents because like we're parents now."
Oh, that's
terrible.
I don't know this
Terrible,
band. What's
terrible,
this band
terrible.
from? Where are they from?
Bob doesn't know any band after 1969.
Yeah.
Really, he doesn't
You
know
see
any
what I'm
band.
saying? Like, let's do Soccer Squatch.
Yeah.
But make Bob into me. Like, start asking questions totally from my generation. He won't know shit.
He won't know.
I
a
won't
damn
know
thing.
shit.
No, he won't. He won't. All the
And then
questions
he'll
I surround, I
understand
make
how
it from
I feel.
Bob's.
What happened in your generation?
And then Bob will sit down with his parchment paper.
Abacus and quill pen.
Yeah. Quill pen.
Come
And
on,
he'll write
Cathy.
me a letter.
Typewriters.
He'll
Oh,
say,
God.
"Dearest gentle Jerah, I now understand how you feel."
Wow.
So we've got a bunch of folks checking in. We've got Al Cooper. Hello,
Oh,
Al.
I
How
love
are you?
Al Cooper, man. We, especially with Blues Project and
You see how everything relates
Yeah,
back to
Bruce.
He's an Atlanta Braves
with
fan.
Philly.
I can tell you that.
We've got Connor. We've got a bunch. We got even Tim saying hello.
The Earthling himself, Mr. Bruce.
Say hello.
Bruce.
Yep.
Hey, everybody, hit the share button, man. Let's get this show out to everybody you know. Come
And
on,
even
let's
to
make
people you don't
Ladies
know.
Night
Or
happening
like.
and
Yeah.
all your military
even the people you don't like.
Exactly. Get it out to the people you don't like. This way they can.
They really hate you.
Saludos de RNRCRCR.
I don't know what that is.
Well,
Must be
this
maybe a new
R&R.
band.
That's the new band that
New
Bob
band.
doesn't know. Another new band for Bob.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, well,
man.
hopefully everyone's having a good night. I know I'm excited to talk to Maddie, get her perspective on a bunch of different things. And I'm just going to sit back, relax, and
I'm not
going to
say a word.
Thank God.
That's the biggest lie I've told.
I'm not going to say shit this time. That's it.
No,
I'm gonna let them
how you
talk.
can do that.
So, Frank, this is one of the nights that you really take a part-time, sit back, enjoy, relax.
Yeah.
I go part-time here. I just
That's
go on
it.
a part-time.
Let Jarrah and Kathy do the whole thing.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
all.
going to put us
Even though
backstage.
Kathy looks strange tonight to me, I don't understand it.
Did you know that?
Wow.
A lot of shoulder show.
I don't know if I go for that look at Kat. I don't know.
Tim's on the other side. Don't worry, he's watching over it.
He doesn't like the hair pulled back on one side.
No.
He doesn't like that look.
I mean, pulling the hair is one
Well,
thing, but that back.
Killer.
I can't believe you just said that.
Oh boy.
Oh, God.
Oh God, yeah.
Come on,
Let's
hit-
segue.
let's go to our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll have Maddie on.
Bob,
and
I'm
then
gonna
we'll-
have duct
If he
tape for
hasn't
you.
run away.
yeah. And Bob will be in his corner.
Yeah.
I'm not
He's
gonna say
been
a word.
Bad boy.
I'm not going to
Bad
say a
boy
word.
Bob, they calling him.
Yeah.
Bob's been a bad boy. Yeah. Right after these words from our sponsors.
At Norwood Royal Cigars, we have the biggest walk-in humidor in the Midwest. Our 1,500 square foot humidor is home to almost 4,000 different cigars that will meet the need of any cigar enthusiast. We have boutique blends to the more traditional selections and everything in between. From the novice beginner to the aficionado, the knowledgeable staff at NRC will find the perfect cigar for you. Located on the northwest side of Chicago, we want to be your shop for all your cigar wants and needs. As always, at Norwood Royal Cigars, light it, smoke it, love it.
Experience the magic of Rockefeller Cigars today. With 11 years steeped in tradition, passion, and mystery of the leaf, Rockefeller has a cigar just for you. Be like the greatest magicians and make Rockefeller Cigars appear in your lineup with any of our 4 lines. The Nicaraguan, the Dominican Blue, the Vintage Gold, and our new LE, The Art of Magic.
Cigar in the Bottle is 2 palate-pleasing gifts in 1. A specially blended Grand Pommier XS VSOP Cognac is elegantly contained in patented numbered bottles. Winner of back-to-back-to-back-to-back medals at the LA Spirits Awards, Cigar in the Bottle inventor Forbidden Johnny teams up with Vartan and Hendrik Kellner for this custom-blended Vartan Reserva cigar, well-preserved in a hand-blown glass chamber featuring Boveda 2-way humidification.
All begins at the very first climate-controlled Rodriguez Olivan cigar factory located in the Dominican Republic. Our 2 major brands include Don Olivan, which are boutique cigars suited for that individual who takes great pride in something unique. BAMF is our armed forces cigars designed for that badass mother effer. Not only are you smoking a great premium cigar, a percentage of the proceeds is donated to our heroic men and women in uniform.
And I am knighting you, Frank.
Yeah, Bob put on his night.
I'm going into medieval.
Medieval Bob.
You said you weren't going to say nothing.
I'm not. As soon as you start, Cathy, I'm shutting up because I don't particularly like the hair tonight. So
Point it out.
I know.
Oh my, Bob! When I see you, I'm going to shave your ass.
I know.
He might like that.
You might like that.
Be careful.
Don't forget about the bleaching. Don't forget about the white bleaching.
Gillette or a going electric?
I heard those the moan electric.
Imagine if you weren't family.
The new MOAN shaver for Bob.
Jerah, you have a dot on your head. I think Jerah's got something right in the middle of your
I
head.
didn't say anything about Jerah. Notice that.
You're scared of her.
Jerah says she's laying back on her bed thinking about things.
So let's get to it, ladies. Introduce our special guest.
Okay. Are you ready for this, Maddie? I don't even know.
I am.
You don't know what you signed up for.
The shaving part, but
I guess 10 years in the military, you must be ready. So that is her. This is Maddie Peterson. She is lives in Arizona now. She's a 10-year Air Force veteran. Smoked her first cigar in the military. She retired from the military, became an 8th grade reading teacher, and now she is a business owner, and she started her own business, and she teaches a class which a lot of people need called Cigars Unwrapped, which is an
8th grade
class.
teacher. So you still like doing battle, huh?
oh yeah.
Wow.
Actually, my time in the service is what prepared me to be a teacher.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
You know, we learned a lot of patience. You know, hurry up and wait.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Belligerence, attitude, rules.
Yeah, all that are broken.
Thank you for your service, Maddie. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your support. Thank you.
Go for it, ladies.
I'm not saying another word.
Well,
Thank God.
yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and this is actually a really good guest for us to have so close to Memorial Day. You know, we've been interviewing a lot of vets lately, and I think that there's kind of a correlating theme here. But unpack your Air Force experience for us. I mean, you spent a decade in the military. What inspired you to go? What did you do while you were there? And then what made you get out?
Well, I am several generations in blue. So my grandfather served, my uncle, my father, my brother, and I entered after my father retired. My husband also served, and now my son has the watch. He's stationed in Germany.
Oh,
Wow.
Nice.
Wow,
So
that's
I'm the only female in that line. So I was really excited to actually join and actually, make my mark and actually follow the family tradition of serving my country.
Wow, that's unreal.
It is.
very good.
That is awesome.
Love that.
Really
And
awesome.
so what year did you take the oath?
92.
Okay, and then you got out in 2002, yeah?
Yes. So what happened was, the military has this thing where when I married my husband, we each had a child. And with a blended family, they don't really take much well, I don't know about now, but back then they didn't take much consideration. They were going to send me to Korea by myself unaccompanied and send my husband to Turkey 6 months unaccompanied. And we had 3 kids between us. And so when I talked to my commander about, it wasn't that I was afraid to go. I was just like, I've got 3 kids. Like, what am I going to do with them? And since we're blended, we'd have to break the kids up, send them to separate, co-parents.
Right.
And their response was, we didn't issue you your kids, figure it out.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I had to make, a choice to, of course, my kids didn't ask to be here. So I made the choice to actually support the military in a different way. So I got out after 10 years. My husband had more time in service, and I supported him until he retired.
Gotcha.
How long did he
And then
stay?
26.
26 years? Wow.
Wow.
26. And then when he was retiring, then our son decided that he was going to enter service.
I bet you must be so proud. And Air Force as well?
Yes, Air
You
Force.
did go Air Force? Wow.
Where is he stationed now?
Germany.
He's in Spangdahlem, Germany.
Wow.
Oof. Congrats.
But
That's
I've
an
moved
awesome
20 times.
background.
So for us, just us being all over the world is just a matter of just getting on a plane and going.
I guess that makes you flexible. You got to be able to deal with that and find your way wherever you are. 20 times in that many years is a lot of times.
Yeah, 20 times in my lifetime, and not just to another part of the city, to a whole nother state or country.
Yeah, learning the dialects, learning the customs, learning the people, making friends or whatever.
It was harder when I was young, but it also taught me to be kind of a chameleon. And it also taught me to appreciate, there's something to appreciate from everywhere. And we had a phrase, we had a lot of phrases, but one of them was, when I was growing up, bloom where you're planted. The military just, made a decision to send you wherever. You didn't have much say in the matter. And, you have 2 choices. You can kick and scream and say, I don't want to be here, because you liked where you were before and you had your friends and whatnot. Or you could say, you know what? This is where I have to be at this moment. So let me make the best of it and learn how to kind of assimilate.
Right.
So again, that had to really prepare you for teaching.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, parents, teachers, administration, the students.
Well, part of it was the structure of the military, I think, also helped me with that. The organization and structure and routine. And I was working at a Title I school, so most of my kids were all poverty level. So I think one of the big things I noticed was that they were missing that structure. You know what I mean? In addition to the compassion and just, being open-minded and flexible, which I think is another thing I learned from moving so much in the military life.
So you've done 2 things in your career that are so selfless.
Yeah.
I mean, you served our country, and then you served our children. So
Awesome.
that is an amazing calling. I, for one, love children when they're someone else's, or my nieces and nephews. And I love my nieces and nephews, but I like to give them back. And
You're like W.C. Fields when, when she asked, "Do you like children, Mr. McConaughey?" He says, yes, only if they're properly cooked.
No one gets that reference.
He
Bob
said
is
that
in
he
third.
Bob is in a mood tonight. Be careful, everyone.
I know. We have King Lear sitting on the sideline.
King Lear.
Choose wisely.
Now, did you incorporate any military structure into your classroom?
I did. One of the things that I did was I taught the kids a lot about like respecting themselves, but respecting others. And so one of the things that the kids were challenged with when I first started was teaching them how to handshake. So they would shake my hand. I would greet each one every morning when they came in, and I would shake their hand and look them in the eye and say good morning. Because I think it's very important for them, first of all, to learn some, basic human etiquette. A lot of them had never been, even as 8th graders, 13-year-olds, no one had taught them to actually give a proper handshake, how to look someone in the eye and greet them, which is something that I think a lot of us, take for granted that someone is going to be there to guide,
Right.
And at first the kids were like, well, what is that for? And they were trying to dap me and whatnot. And I was like, dapping is, for when we're just hanging out. Right now, if you're in a business situation in the future, you're going to need to know to give a firm handshake and be able to look someone in the eye. And also, how you carry yourself. And the most important part was first thing in the morning. So I see you was my basic message. I would see each one. Otherwise, I saw, and this isn't against any other teacher, the teacher would let them in like a cattle call, open the door and they just all kind of like loom in, and no one actually pays attention. And there's a lot of kids, especially in, the poor communities, that feel invisible. That's my experience from having conversations with them. So actually taking that time to stop, say hello, shake their hand, teach them how to do it properly, I think made a big difference on how they treated me and how they treated each other.
Wow. So how long have you been teaching?
I taught for 3 years, and then COVID came, and they told me I was going to have 42 students in each class by myself. And 42 kids was just too much for me. Especially I was giving them breakfast and lunch in the classroom. I mean snack, breakfast and snack in the classroom. And I'd have to pull 2 small groups during each class. I also had kids with IEPs, special needs. And I also had a lot of kids that had English as a second language, which I happen to be from Puerto Rico, so I speak Spanish also. So that was helpful for me. But when you have kids that have the learning barrier as far as like education or IEPs, in addition to general population students, and 42 was just, it was astonishing.
An insane number. Yeah. It's an insane number.
I had no assistant to make photocopies or help me in the class or, handle anything else. So it was too much.
Yeah, that's not realistic.
What state?
Arizona.
Okay.
I'll tell you, when I went,
Bob and I had 45. I was 45 in my class with one nun. Figure that one out.
35 to 40.
Yeah, but back then the nuns could use corporal punishment.
Oh yeah, they used to crack the ruler over my head.
Oh yeah.
So that's how they, basically
that was
set the stage.
Yeah, that was like
there were saints at doing it. I can tell you that.
Boys, whole different era.
Yeah,
I know.
You're chewing gum. Drop and give me 50.
You just triggered me because I used to get in trouble in school for chewing gum.
Shocking, Jerah.
And they would make you write sentences.
Yeah.
And it was like it was the longest sentence on earth. And it's like emblazoned in my memory. And it said, a gum chewing girl, a cud chewing cow. So much alike, but different somehow. The difference I see plainly now, the intelligent look on the face of the cow.
Wow.
Oh man, that's a long one.
That's a long one. How many, you had to write that across that whole page?
I used to have to write 500 times. I should not talk in class. I should not talk in class.
Bob, you and I were Bart Simpson before Bart Simpson at the classroom.
Wow. Yeah, real disciplinarians back then, man.
Yeah, so you could get away with a larger class size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to us about that aspect of teaching. Like, what was the most like if you could create the perfect classroom where kids had the every resource they could have to learn, teachers had every resource they could have to teach properly. Like, what does that look like for a teacher? What does
The
that
internet.
look like? Even so far as disciplining the children, like, what does that look like? Like, what are things that you were missing?
I think there were just so many variables that lent to the challenge. One of them is like back in the day growing up, remember we used to have fire drills or even tornado drills when I lived in the Midwest, even hurricane drills when I lived in Florida, Mississippi, and whatnot. So, like in our school, we had to have active shooter drills. And I'll give you an example. One thing was, they would do the alarm and tell us that we had to do an active shooter drill. So the kids have to be prepared to turn out the lights, block the windows. In my classroom, it was like a bungalow style. And so my classroom was on the very end. And what happened was somebody put the lock on the outside. So I couldn't lock the door from the inside. And so I had to fight the school with telling them that doesn't make sense. By the time I get outside to lock the door, somebody could have shot me. And then all the other rooms were connected with no lock in between. So then if they got into my classroom, they can get all into the other 6 classrooms. So, but I mean, more to your point, I think one of the big things is, of course, having structure, but also having more communication. One of the challenges in this Title I school was that a lot of the parents happened to have English as a second language. They were illiterate in English and Spanish or even African languages. We had, students from Kenya and Nairobi there as well. And so the teachers didn't really communicate with the parents. And to me, I think, they had to use a translator, which sometimes became another hurdle in addition to having all the kids, to make sure that they were well. And the kids had situations where, they would have 10 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Some of them didn't have hot water. I had a student that was falling asleep in class, and some of the teachers were like, send him to the principal's office. And I'm like, well, there's something going on. He keeps falling asleep in class. So I had him speak to me at lunchtime one day, and he said, Mrs. Peterson, I have to sleep on the floor and I don't have a blanket or a pillow. Wow. And it's very uncomfortable, so I don't sleep very well. Another kid, he was not smelling so good. So I worked with the nurse on getting some basic toiletries. And it turned out that they had 10 people in a 2-bedroom. So he could only take a shower twice a week based on the family rotation. So, so I became more like, not just a teacher, but a counselor and also, like an auntie.
Mother.
Oh yeah. The girls didn't have feminine products, so they were using paper towels from the bathroom. The kids didn't have proper shoes. Some of them had holes in their shoes, so they couldn't play outside. Here in Arizona, like today, it's 103 degrees. That's why I'm smoking in the garage. And there was no like awning over the basketball court. The basketball courts didn't have any nets. The basketballs had duct tape covering the balls, so they couldn't bounce properly, And so when you're factoring in all these things, it's just, I think it needs more a matter of, if the kids don't have what they need as far as the structure at home, it's really hard to actually like translate that into the school environment. And of course, when COVID first hit, I had students that were, they didn't get any food. They only ate at school, breakfast and snack, and then they wouldn't have dinner at home. So they were coming into school starving. So I was spending half of my paycheck buying snacks and other things for them because I just couldn't stand the thought of them being hungry. How can a kid focus on reading when their stomach is rumbling?
Oh, God, Maddie.
I didn't have behavioral issues because I taught them with respect. I talked to them, and something as simple as the kids wanted to wear their earbuds, the few that had them. And I said, I think a lot of it is we grew up with because I said so as an adult, right? Because I said so is the most infuriating answer. Right. If we give them some kind of tools to actually understand the why, which is one thing I do translate into my class, Cigars Unwrapped. Like I would say, the reason why we don't want you to wear both earbuds in is because you might miss instruction. There might be an emergency. We need to reach your attention. You know what I mean? You're not going to be focused on what's going on and you'll miss out on learning. And you also may also jeopardize your safety. So 9 out of 10 of the kids were just like, well, why didn't you say so? And they were fine with it. And then as a compromise, I talked to the principal and I was like, okay, when they're doing their silent reading or they're doing their testing, can we, give them a carrot and let them wear one earbud in as long as their neighbor couldn't hear their music? Because I know that I work well with music.
Gotcha.
I can focus. And so the principal was just like, okay, well, we'll try it your way. And the kids' scores went up. I mean, it could be a placebo effect, but the kids also learned to respect me. I didn't have any problems with earbuds anymore.
Right.
Congrats on that. Good move.
Yeah. I mean, and so much of this has to do with also budgets for schools and not having the appropriate things. Like you said, a basketball with duct tape on it, basketball nets with no basketball rims with no nets. How you can't expect a child to be able to feel like any attention is being made to them, even just by the district itself. It's like they don't care.
Disrespected from the get-go.
Yeah, right away. It's like they don't care about us. We're not good enough to receive the simplest things. I mean, a basketball.
Oh, that was definitely an issue. But my cigar lounge was very receptive. When they found out that I was teaching and I had some needs for my students, they were like, "We got you, Madeline." So they did a couple drives, and they, shout out to Finest Cigars in Glendale, Arizona. They bought school supplies. They would buy some of the guys got together and they got basketballs, new dodgeballs, basketball nets. Some of the people got together and they said, okay, you guys need deodorant and stuff like that. I talked to the nurse and I was like, can you lock this up in a cabinet, have deodorant and toothpaste and those basic things that if the kid comes in before class and needs to take care of their hygiene, that we can help them out. So, my cigar family came together and they were just like, you know what, each one teach one, each one reach one. So we got you.
Wow.
That's awesome. Congrats to that lounge. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you get involved with cigars? Like what was your first experience with cigar smoking?
Well, that was interesting. So my very first cigar was when I was in the military station at Eielson Air Force Base, Alaska. And in the military, Alaska. So we had a phrase called "smoke 'em if you got 'em." And back then they were talking, well, they still do it now. They mainly meant cigarettes. Well, I didn't like cigarettes and I wasn't willing to try them. But a couple of the guys were like, well, Maddie, we have some cigars. Do you want to try those? And I was like, you know what? I'll try a cigar. And I can't remember what cigar I smoked. I just remember the feeling of enhanced camaraderie. The conversation was amazing. I was so relaxed. It was just such a great experience that, it really resonated with me. And not long afterwards, now this is in the late 90s, we went to try to go to a cigar lounge not long after that. And they told me, I'm sorry, ma'am, women aren't welcome here.
Whoa.
So yes, my shock was like, okay, so I can wear the military uniform, but I can't smoke a cigar. So I remember that we all left. I mean, even the guys were in disbelief. They were like, well, if you can't smoke with us, then we're not going to smoke there either. And so I didn't smoke for many years. About 11 years ago, I was here. We were stationed here in Arizona, and some of the guys were smoking on the patio that were friends of ours. And I was like, you know what? I haven't smoked a cigar in a long time. Do you mind? And they gave me a cigar, and I've been smoking ever since.
Good for you. Good move.
I can't believe they wouldn't allow you in the lounge.
Isn't it crazy how one incident stopped you in your tracks from enjoying something?
Well, it's true. And I've had people say, well, I'm not going to let anybody stop me. I'm a strong woman. I can this and that. Well, what they don't realize is in the military, I'm also representing more than just myself. I'm representing military service. So, I'm not going to, you have to pick and choose your battles. And I wasn't going to go kick and scream and give a bad name to my, to my squadron or to my fellow military members by, pushing the issue. I'm sure I could have, but, at the time I made a call and I was just like, you know what, we're just going to re-engage. This is not the battle I'm going to do right now. And I want to make sure that I represent my military service in a positive way.
Right. Makes sense.
Applaud that, boy. I don't know how I would have handled that.
It's just still kind of wild to me.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
You know,
Oh, it's very wrong. And now I wouldn't take that because I don't have to worry about, having to, the military look at me like I'm actually embarrassing them by causing a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. No uniform. Now you crack a 2x4 over their heads.
I think that it's just there's this balance between, I think that there are a lot of women right now that are making big deals out of nothing, that are just like they're being feminist with extra steps for no reason, and then you see things like that and you go, well, to me, that was kind of worth being a bitch about. You know what I mean? But, but like the kicker from the Chiefs, like his speech, I didn't really think that was that big of a deal.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. I mean, he loved his wife and he was giving his wife kudos for, her
a religious man. What's wrong with that?
In their family and in Catholicism, that's that's their thing that's a big vocation for women is being the homemaker and making the home. And I don't see anything wrong with that. And if we're going to be people who want choices, that's a choice. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that but then if you look at history, like, you look at the women's suffrage movement and all that, but then you think about all the things that came way later. Like, I want to say that women couldn't even get their own credit card until like 1974.
Right.
Yeah.
The Fort Worth Club, here in Fort Worth, it wasn't the Fort Worth Men's Club. It was just a Fort Worth Club. They didn't let women in until like 1987. So it's just interesting. Now, I do think that it's important for men to have things that are just for men. The Boy Scouts the Boy Scouts are about to not exist anymore. And I'm like, why is that even happening? It's the Boy Scouts. Like, girls aren't allowed in the Boy Scouts. That's why there's the Girl Scouts. And if the Girl Scouts want to do some of the things that the Boy Scouts are doing in the wilderness and survival training, then they just need to incorporate that curriculum in the Girl Scouts. This isn't that difficult.
But yet they changed the name, Jerah. It's now Scouting America.
Right.
So, yeah.
I
Again,
remember there was a time women weren't allowed in the military too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And here's a fun fact based on that.
They would shave their heads and dress up as men to get in the military. That's been happening since the dawn of time.
But do you realize that it wasn't until 2020 that we got women fitted uniforms? Until 2020, we had uniforms that were made directly just for men, and we had to actually make them fit our bodies.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. 2020?
I didn't know that.
Wow.
It was the year I went into the military.
So you did it. You're the culprit.
No.
I used to watch MASH, and all the women had perfectly tailored uniforms on MASH.
Right, Bob, 'cause that was real.
We had to have them customized. Even the boots and the hats were all men's sizes. Everything was men's sizes.
Yeah, OCP uniforms were nothing but men's sizes.
Unbelievable.
Wow. That is a shame.
Try to find an extra small. My God, it's not. I mean, I'm not an extra small, but there were petite women that went into that. So it's just kind of wild. So so when women squawk and holler about fairness, we have a legitimate foundation for this. But there are some things that they're just taking completely out of context, and they're just, it's just getting out of control. It's getting out of control, and there was this article that like Women's Rights News wrote or something like that said that where it was an op-ed where this person was totally offended by this research that shows that women are wired to be mothers. And I'm like, is that not common sense to you that most women are wired to be mothers since we're the only human beings that can have freaking babies?
Yeah. It's
Are you sure? I don't know about that, Jerah. I heard a lot of stories about that lately.
Two genders.
So it's just, I think that this deal between men and women is actually just super common sense, and there are these squeaky wheels that are just blowing it completely out of proportion.
But this is the Billie Jean King, Jimmy Connors all over again. The tennis match. You all remember? Maybe Jerah, you don't.
Absolutely.
Do you remember that? It was like
absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
It went on and on and on. I mean, it's so absurd.
But again, here's the thing. I can honestly say that the standards have changed. I'll leave it at that. Can a 250-pound man carry me down a ladder in a burning building? Yes. Can a 120-pound woman? I don't know. I don't know. And I have, my family's police officers. My family was, military. My father, my grandfather, my uncles, my husband's father, my father-in-law. I get it. I want that. I want us all to support our military. My brother was in Desert Storm. He did his whole tour. He was an Army medic. He was coming up the back flank. He wrote us home stories that would curl your freaking toenails. But that's medic. And I always ask the question is it just the suitability, the right person for the job? I've played with some women in sports who were 6'5", 250-pound women that I would want with me in a foxhole. And there are some men that I'd be like, I don't want you going to the grocery store for me.
It's okay. Like, I think it's okay to let them try. Like, it's okay if a woman goes, I think that I could really do that and be good at it. Can you let me try? And if they fail, they fail. But they have to be ready for that, because you can't lower, especially first responder or military. There are a lot of really great females in the military. There are a lot of great females that are first responders. But you can't lower the standards for them. Like, there's places for them in both spaces.
Right.
Can't lower the standards for them. And people tell me, like, anytime that I speak out on this, I get a lot of flack because I shoot in military competitions with men. And that is not, but I am still at a disadvantage. I have to work harder to be better, because it's not just, these competitions are not just shooting competitions. There are physical components to this. There is running and gunning in this. Okay. And I get better every year, but I have to work harder to do it. Okay. But for the most part, shooting is not a competition of physical brute strength either. It's more a competition of skill, right? I mean, and you can incorporate different things into it to make it, more difficult, where men would have an advantage, but that's different than football. That's different than
hockey.
Hockey. I mean, it's very different. Like, to me, in my head, you would be insane to want to go be a woman and go play men's hockey,
right?
Or men's football. Like, I think that's insanity. Like, now look, are there very, very few rare women that are built for that? Fine. Great. I'm friends with the first ever female football coach, like NFL football coach. She coached for Arizona, right? She was a legitimate football player that played against men, but she still had a very high degree of likelihood of getting hurt, okay? Because she was smaller, but she was very, very tough. So what I'm saying is, like, let them try if they want to, but make sure that it's their own liability that they're putting on the line for that stuff. But this idea of chicks not being able to smoke cigars with men is kind of weird. Like, I just think that's weird. I think that the way that you handled it was, classy and phenomenal. But I still think that was stupid. And I don't think that would happen today.
No,
no, by no means.
No,
more women are going into lounges than ever before.
Yeah.
And they're welcomed.
Yes.
I hate that you were in a time that did happen. I hate that. But you know what? Somebody's got to be the person that says, hey, this is
You got to be the trailblazer.
Yeah.
Those suffragettes. Yep.
Suffragettes. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
the road marks of cigar lounges. You got to be first.
I think the one thing that we've learned is that this cigar boom has really been powered by women, to be honest. I think that this kind of new age of cigar smoker is very inclusive, and I would have to say at least probably 50% of the new cigar smokers are women that are smoking, as opposed to just being men. Wouldn't you think so, Bob?
And not only that, Frank,
50% is pretty high. I don't know
if the new cigar smokers. Yeah,
I don't know if I go 50%.
It's only about 35%.
I was going to say, I agree with you, Cathy. I was going to say 30 to 35%.
It was like 18%, 19% about 5 years ago. But
and it's moving up.
But it is climbing. It's
climbing.
definitely climbing.
That's the climbing.
Well, look at the other end. Look how many women are now become cigar owners and brand owners and stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, there is more and more, and the ladies here, you've been bringing them on monthly. It is happening. Women are getting involved more and more in the industry.
But look how many men are understanding and realizing, because you're all a freaking dense, that women.
Hey.
That women.
Wow, that's really not fair. We're just hard-headed.
Oh, you took your gown off. Shut up, Bob. That women have such an amazing voice to reach different audiences. It's you talk about like the hunters and the gatherers, right? And Maddie, in your experience, you probably ran across the hunters and the gatherers, the ones that were the nurturers, men and women, and the ones that were the, hit over the head, die. Okay, good. The real thuggy kind of guys. But it's changed a lot, and there's been so much more adaptability. But a lot of the cigar brands are reaching out to the women influencers, and for lots of really good and different reasons. And listen, I do marketing. I could tell you the studies that would curl your freaking hair, but the realities are we analyze these things and say, what are we going to do? How are we going to attract an audience? What are the steps that we use to attract an audience? And we do all the analytics. And what we find is, in many instances, it's not even necessarily the font, I'm getting technical, or the color of the image. I mean, like the background, but it's what's in the image. And we've done lots of studies that show the same message that has a beautiful woman smoking a cigar, a woman just holding a cigar, and just the cigar. Well, let me tell you, the woman smoking the cigar, the numbers are off the charts. The woman holding the cigar, just the cigar alone, not so much. So it's men and women that are reacting to these images. And we're all the same. We all react in different ways when we know somebody. And that's what's happening.
That happened with cigarette campaigns too.
Yes, it did.
On the one side, you had the Marlboro Man.
Yeah.
Right. And then on the other side, you had a lot of really provocative
Virginia Slim.
Virginia Slim.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That
was a big one.
And so there's a lot of micro and macro reasons
absolutely
that this happens. And your sort of genre of industry gets into the micro reasons. But the biggest macro reason is because we're half the freaking population.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You should be marketing to us in some way with most of your products. Otherwise you're missing out on an insane amount of sales. Mm-hmm. And studies do show that most of the time, now I don't know if that's changed now, but back when families were far more nuclear, women were making most of the decisions on how the money was being spent. They were home more.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they were home more. I mean, they made choices on groceries. That's why grocery stores started to really shift their marketing toward women and mothers, because they figured out that moms were the ones buying the groceries. Why am I marketing this toward men who are not home? They're providing
packaging.
At work.
That's right. Packaging change.
Be fed.
Absolutely. Messaging, packaging, ideology, brand standards, personas, it all changed. It all was, and you're absolutely right, Jerah, but it's also a matter of when we look at the analytics, we can see if we're going after a female market, oddly enough, there are certain things that we do, trade secret, to attract a balanced audience. If we're going after a male owner only or a female only audience, there are other things that we do, because it's just, maybe it's a nature nurture kind of a thing, but you see it, there we have such, Maddie included, we have such great influences and people in our industry that we know, love, trust, and respect. And I've said it for a million years. You do business with people you like, know, and trust. And that is the bottom line. And if you have any one of those components missing, you don't have a really solid foundation. But we're so busy being online that visually it is the first level of appeal, right?
Right.
And there is nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. But I will also say to you, and think about this. Have you ever met someone initially, and no comment, have you ever met someone initially that completely turned you off? You didn't find that person appealing or attractive or nice. But as you got to know them, they got better looking. They got more appealing to you. I know it's happened to me in my life. And again, no joking. So again, we're talking about what? Reaching out to the nuances of that group of people and saying, come and get to know me. Come and get to know who I am, what I do, and how I do it. That's the beauty of marketing. That's the beauty of distilling science and marketing together. And Maddie, you probably see it in the military because that's what you did. You took science and you took the marketing of who you were, what you did, what you represented, and your world. And we've done a lot of the freaking talking, so now it's your turn.
Well, I want to know, and Frank, do we need to take a sponsor break soon?
Yeah, we could. Why not?
Okay.
Jerah, you're pretty good.
Yeah. Maddie can start thinking that answer right now.
Get it now. Oh, God. I'm starting to get it now.
And we'll
Look at that. Jerah's the new Bruce.
So,
That's right. And we'll
Time
be
to go to
right
the
back.
bathroom. Hurry up.
no, I don't need to bathroom. I'm just trying to look, Frank is teaching me things.
Even I can teach Jerah things.
So let's take a sponsor break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about this transition from 8th grade reading teacher to cigar entrepreneur.
Right.
I want to talk about that and how that idea came into your head and how that transition happened. We come back.
At Norwood Royal Cigars, we have the biggest walk-in humidor in the Midwest. Our 1,500 square foot humidor is home to almost 4,000 different cigars that will meet the need of any cigar enthusiast. We have boutique blends to the more traditional selections and everything in between. From the novice beginner to the aficionado, the knowledgeable staff at NRC will find the perfect cigar for you. Located on the northwest side of Chicago, we want to be your shop for all your cigar wants and needs. As always, at Norwood Royal Cigars, light it, smoke it, love it.
Experience the magic of Rockefeller Cigars today. With 11 years steeped in tradition, passion, and mystery of the leaf, Rockefeller has a cigar just for you. Be like the greatest magicians and make Rockefeller Cigars appear in your lineup with any of our 4 lines. The Nicaraguan, the Dominican Blue, the Vintage Gold, and our new LE, The Art of Magic.
Cigar in the Bottle is 2 palate-pleasing gifts in 1. A specially blended Grand Pommier XS VSOP Cognac is elegantly contained in patented numbered bottles. Winner of back-to-back-to-back-to-back medals at the LA Spirits Awards, Cigar in the Bottle inventor Forbidden Johnny teams up with Vartan and Hendrik Kellner for this custom-blended Vartan Reserva cigar, well-preserved in a hand-blown glass chamber featuring Boveda 2-way humidification.
All begins at the very first climate-controlled Rodriguez Olivan cigar factory located in the Dominican Republic. Our 2 major brands include Don Olivan, which are boutique cigars suited for that individual who takes great pride in something unique. BAMF is our armed forces cigars designed for that badass mother effer. Not only are you smoking a great premium cigar, a percentage of the proceeds is donated to our heroic men and women in uniform.
All right, we are back.
All right.
All right.
There you go. Let's get to the nitty gritty right now, Jerah. Let's do
We're
it.
getting to the nitty gritty.
Yes.
So, talk to us about this transition from being the So you went from the Air Force to being a reading teacher to you were actually a broker for a while as well for Casa 1910 and then also Blackbird, right?
Yes.
And then you said, I'm going to do my own thing because I feel like people need to be educated on cigars. And so then you started teaching Cigars Unwrapped, and you do that all over the place, right?
Yes. So basically, one of the big things about cigars is I have had depression for many years. I didn't know that it was depression until my time was wrapping up in the military. And they had put me on this medication that actually made me feel somewhat like a zombie. And it felt like I lost a lot of my personality. I also was dealing with some PTSD related issues. And so I realized that smoking cigars made me more relaxed, and the cigar culture also to me mirrored a lot of the military camaraderie that I had. And add to that the fact that I had a real challenge with assimilating to civilian life. What people may not realize, especially since, I mean, I was literally born on a military base. I followed my dad in his career till he retired. When he retired, I entered service. And then I married my husband while we were both active. So literally my whole life was military service. So when it was time for me to leave, it was a real challenge with me trying to understand that subculture of civilian life in general. And I found that a lot of the cigar culture, because we have that common love for the cigar, that it's, you know, it's a subculture the way the military is a subculture. When you meet somebody that's in the military, you immediately connect with that person, regardless of what branch they're in, because you have very similar experiences and you can relate to each other, regardless of your gender. You know, I hang out with the fellas and I feel like right at home because it felt to me very natural, because that's what I did pretty much my whole life. And so smoking cigars, because there were not as many women that were smoking cigars at the time, I didn't have a real challenge, you know, smoking alongside the men. I didn't feel like it was anything unusual. You know, it felt very natural to me. And so when COVID happened and they were like, okay, you're going to have 42 kids in the class. You don't have an assistant or anyone, you know, so I had to grade my own papers, make my own copies, do my own lesson plans, do everything myself. It was literally taking me 7 days. I had no breaks at all trying to take care of that. And I was like, well, what can I do now that kind of reinforces the passion that I have? And smoking cigars, I was able to get off of the medication 100%. And so even now when I have what I guess some people would call an episode, I just grab a cigar and I sit on the back patio and I ride the wave and I feel better. It helps my gears slow down. It helps me refocus. And I love that so much that I wanted to do something with it. So originally, I just started my page, Cigar Royal, because I wanted to actually kind of show other women that women can smoke all kinds of different cigars, that you can expand your cigar journey, you know. And I had such great feedback from people saying, well, I've never seen that cigar before, but you're smoking it, so tell me about it. And then, you know, boutique cigars started to take notice. I had about 12 brands approach me about, we'd love to have you represent Arizona. Arizona is one of the biggest markets for cigars in the U.S. We have approximately 80 lounges right now.
Wow.
And a very strong community, very, very female forward. You can easily go into a lounge and find about 50-50 women and men smoking in cigar lounges in Arizona. I also had the wonderful experience of having lived in Europe. So I had made friends with some female smokers in Europe. And since I could understand it from their perspective, because I knew what it was like not to have lounges, you know, there in Europe, the way that we do here in the States.
Right.
And I actually met women that were like, I've never smoked a cigar with another woman.
Wow.
Really?
And so, yeah, I still encounter that. So during COVID, of course, which was the era of, you know, Zoom becoming popular and whatnot, started, you know, jumping into some herfs like for the Women International Cigar Club, Cigar Lounge International, Cigar Fanatics and whatnot. And I started meeting and expanding my cigar family across the world.
Wow.
And I said, you know what, let me go ahead and try this broker thing. You know, thought it was kind of poetic justice that once upon a time I couldn't smoke in a lounge, and now I can go in any damn lounge I wanted to and show them cigars and smoke with them.
Good girl.
There was a question, Frank. I don't know if you want to put that up there. Colin asked, "How does one become a cigar broker?" Was one of the questions.
Well, I mean, very honestly, a lot of the boutique brands, especially, are very receptive to people approaching them saying, "Hey, I'd like to become a cigar broker." The learning curve that I think a lot of people need to realize, which I did not get, was it's a very, very challenging experience and position, because not only, as you guys were talking about before, we have to, of course, build that camaraderie and trust. I had to visit 80 different lounges, build relationships with those people, but also I don't get paid until I open an account. So very often it would happen that I would visit a lounge 6 months. Like I was very methodical. So every third Thursday, like I live in Surprise, Arizona, but there's lounges like an hour and a half away from me, or even further. So if I was going to go like an hour away, I would find 4 lounges in that area to visit them. Like, let's say the third Thursday of the month, I'd go over there, have to spend the whole day. So drive out there, grab my lunch, grab cigars, sit and smoke, have a conversation and whatnot. And I was doing this like 4 days a week, 5 days a week sometimes. And I wasn't making any money because they're not paying me any stipend for gas. They're not paying me stipend to buy food to eat while I'm on the road. And because a lot of these were boutique cigars, a lot of people were kind of, I mean, your humidors are full. So kind of like the mindset is this: a cigar brand needs to basically die in a humidor for another one to come in.
Right.
So
real estate's hard to get in there. The shelves all
it's
full.
really hard.
Top shelf space.
Especially if they're not a brand that's very well known. I know that COVID did help with that, because a lot more people were on social media and they would see influencers and other people posting about cigars. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I had people say like, "What is that you're smoking? I've never seen it."
Right.
And they were actually recognizing different brands. So as far as becoming a broker, if you have a brand that you really love, my recommendation is approach the brand and say, "Hey, listen, I'm interested in brokering for your brand," but just go in there with the understanding that, you know, you'll sign a contract. They'll normally give you like a percentage, which let's say it's 10% of whatever you sell or whatever account you have, and of course on renewal orders. But you know, you need to make sure that that's not the money that you're counting on to live on, because you have to actually like do the groundwork. And actually, you know, some of these brands I was working on for like 6-7 months, and, you know, opening 3 accounts, 4 accounts. Some people were on the fence. They were like, "Oh, I don't have," you know, for whatever reason, they were like, "Well, it doesn't really suit my humidor." So I had to spend a lot of time after hours doing research. So of course I visited lounges. I would see if it was a heritage or a boutique type lounge, which for those watching, it just basically means if they're more open to newer brands, then that's a brand that you could actually take and try to pitch your cigar to. I had the mentality of, I'm not selling them a cigar. I am actually trying to convince them how the cigar I represent will complement what they currently offer.
Right.
I know that some brokers do that. What they'll come in and say, "What you have in here is crap. This cigar is great. You need the cigar," which is insulting to the owner and to the establishment, because you're saying like, "You have terrible taste. Bring my cigar in," which is counterintuitive.
Now, do you think you can represent, and this is a question I get asked a lot of times from my clients, represent more than one line? And how do you, I mean, I am friends with, you know, a number of different national sales managers. They don't have to be named. It doesn't matter, that they are very unifocused. They represent one brand. But I've also got, on the other hand, where clients are saying, you know, "I really want to get out there. How do I do that? You know, how can I, if I'm loving one brand, brand A, and all of a sudden I'm going and I'm pitching brand B, do you have a talk track or something that you basically say?" Because I think it's like, do I like Cheerios or Cocoa Puffs, right? I mean, do I like Pepsi or Coke, right? How do you do that?
Okay, well, so the big difference is like sales reps, which is what, unfortunately, I never have been offered that kind of position. A sales rep gets an actual set salary, and gets a stipend for, like, let's say when you go to the PCA, they might pay for your hotel, they might pay for your transportation, they usually like pay for a meal or two. In addition to the, the accounts that you open, you get a smaller commission, but you still get a commission. So that's why you see some people focusing on the one brand, because that one brand is paying them to just eat, sleep, and sell that one brand. Right. Now, as a broker, yes, it's awesome to have an expanded portfolio of more than one brand, especially if you want to make some money at it. The way that I differentiated it was this: since I literally, and this might be from my military and teacher experience, I literally set up an entire spreadsheet of all the lounges in Arizona ahead of time, found out who my contacts were, how they like to be reached by email, text, or in person, had their hours of operation down. I went visiting their, aside from business on my personal time, to actually, check out the lay of the land. Do they have a full service bar? Are they, just strictly like a 4-seater lounge that doesn't have much activity in there? Are they, do they do a lot of cut and light events? Do they lean more towards the heritage brands? Have they been established for a long time and they prefer, are they like a Rocky Patel lounge, or, those things all help me decide. So if I have, let's say, 2 or 3 brands, then I ahead of time will look at those 2 or 3 brands, the portfolio of cigars in their stable, and I'll say, okay, well, they mainly carry X, Y, and Z. This boutique cigar I represent is probably a little bit more contemporary, more edgy, and their clientele may not lean towards that brand. This brand is more, suited for the heritage community that visits this humidor. There's one lounge here that actually is called Embargo. It's a great cigar lounge. They pretty much focus on all New World cigars that are boutique. So pretty much any new cigar that you want that's boutique, they actually are very proud of having, a very vast collection in their humidor. And so they would be more open to it. Right. Now there's one that's like in Scottsdale that they are, there's several in Scottsdale. That's one of the hubs, but one of them has a lot of upscale business owners that like to smoke, like Atabey and Davidoff and that sort of thing. So for them, I would not go in there. I mean, I would go in there with my eyes open, realizing that one of the newer cigar brands that was maybe 3 years under their belt might not necessarily suit their clientele and complement their humidor. So it's, it's one of those things where you have to actually like do your homework. It's some people think it's like super easy, but it's more than just building relationships. It has to be something that they know will actually resonate with their patrons.
Now, so did you get the idea to create Cigars Unwrapped during this sort of like brokerage era of your career?
Yes, absolutely. So what happened was, because I was visiting all the lounges in Arizona, all the way down to Tombstone, all the way up to like Prescott and Flagstaff. So on the positive end, people were recognizing who I was. They were following my page and they were just like, okay, so I know that you smoke cigars. So I became more approachable to the women, I think. There are women that were watch me come in. They might be sitting with their, another male significant other or whatnot. And they'd be like, you know what? I'm so nervous to try a cigar. Or I'd watch a woman, their partner would cut and light the cigar and not say a word to them. And then I'd watch the woman turning gray or green. And I'd say, excuse me, are you okay? Oh, it's hurting my chest. And I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to swallow that. You're not supposed to inhale. And they'd say, well, they didn't tell me anything. And then I'm like, what are you smoking? And then I look at the cigar and it might be something really heavy and peppery. And I'm like, wow, you're smoking that cigar. How many cigars have you smoked? And they're like, this is my first one. So I started having more women ask me questions about like, well, what's the difference between the different ways to cut it, different ways to light it? Like, even terminology. One woman, as a friend of mine, she said, you know what? You gave me the courage to enter a lounge because I realized that you walk in even by yourself to go smoke a cigar. And I went into a lounge and they asked me what Vitola I preferred. And I panicked because I didn't know what Vitola meant. And I left.
Aww.
Oh.
So those little experiences made me say, you know what? We're missing an education component. I have learned so many things the hard way. Even my first cigar, the guy cut it and lit it. And I just had to kind of like watch what they were doing and ask questions because I'm not afraid to ask them. But I realized that, and not taking anything away from the men, even teaching my class, a lot of the men were kind of shy to ask questions because they didn't want to look dumb or be clowned for not knowing something.
Right.
So they would kind of like fake it and pretend and not know what they were doing. So at my favorite lounge, Finance Cigars, I was there one day and I had like 2 different people bring me into a conversation, and I did a short, like 20-minute spiel. And the lady's just like, oh my God, you should totally do a class. And I said, you know what? I've been thinking about it. So I talked to the lounge owners and I said, you know what? If I come up with like a 1-hour comprehensive, fun class, like interesting, I'm not going to sit there like Charlie Brown's teacher and wah about cigars.
That's great.
Oh my God, I say that all the time, Maddie.
You know, I said I want to actually make it interesting, something that I would want to sit in. So what I did was I took, which is kind of crazy, but I took my experience from the military with my experience as a teacher, and I'm kind of a clown anyway. I'm an extroverted person. I was just like, let me make this something that I would want to attend, and I wish I had when I first started smoking cigars 12 years ago. So I put in there a little bit of, you know, interesting history. My big foot stomp is focus on the why. Why do we do certain things? I hear people say certain things like, how do you like your cigar cut? And they're like, you know, when they're going to the humidor to buy a cigar, they'll say, I don't know, what do you suggest? And they're like, well, it's up to you. Well, what are the different cuts? Well, there could be a straight cut or there could be a V cut. And they're like, well, which one's better? And the answer 9 times out of 10 is it's based on preference, which is true. It is true, but it's not the whole answer.
Right.
So, of course, as you know, with the straight cut, you have the more open, you know, smoke.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, the punch has a more, you know, pronounced draw.
Right.
It goes right through that, you know, so, but newer smokers don't know a lot of these things. So they're like, matter of preference, which one feels better in my mouth, you know? And then I'm like, well, it also depends on the vitola of the cigar and preference. So like to me, my box press, I like with a V cut.
Right.
I just like the, you know, the more concentrated draw from the V cut. And I also like the box press, how it feels in my mouth when I smoke naturally. You know, that sort of thing. So I just pieced together a class, and I had sold out each time. I had men and women pretty equally attend the class, and I'm proud to say that I have had some women that originally were like, I want to know why my husband spends 4 hours in the lounge. And I'd say, well, come to my class and you'll know why. And they're like, well, I don't get it. I'm like, they're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing. It takes about a good hour and a half to smoke a cigar. You factor in a cocktail or, you know, a whiskey or something, and conversation. So easily that 1-ish hour, maybe 1.5 turns into 2.5 hours. If you play dominoes, which I love dominoes, it adds more time to that, of course, because you're talking shit, you're playing dominoes, you're drinking, you're smoking, you know, that multiplies the time.
That's right.
So she's like, okay, I'll go ahead and sign up for your class. Well, she is a regular cigar smoker now. And the best part is that, you know, they were engaged well, they're still engaged, thankfully. But she said it was really hard because he'd say, I'm going to the lounge, and I didn't understand it. So I didn't want to go. But now that I took your class and I understand the nuances about smoking a cigar and I enjoy it. So now we have date night and we find different cigar lounges. We might go to dinner and then we'll go smoke a cigar. And she says, this is one of the best things because it's brought us closer together, because I understand now the only fight that we have is we fight over the cigars in the humidor.
I know that fight real well. Real well. But you're right. You know, my wife smokes along, and every night, we smoke together, and you know, it definitely brings us closer. And we do go to cigar lounges and events, and we have fun with it.
Oh yeah. Now when we travel, we have to look and see, well, like, is there a cigar place nearby?
Yes.
That's one of the things when we pick a hotel or we pick a place, we're like, where can we smoke when we're there? Or is it a smoking patio? Or and now I'm planning on actually taking my class online because I've had people from when I went to PCA, I had people say like, we're in New York and New York is our back home. So I was like, I'll come fly out to New York and do a class. Puerto Rico, they want me to go out to Puerto Rico and do a cigar class.
You gotta let me know if you come to New York, girlfriend. That's my backyard.
Well, and I
so I figured online would be a good way. A lot of places don't have a lounge nearby, and since I am here in Arizona, the travel part is not as easy because having to figure it out logistically, for one.
Yeah.
So online, I think, is the next step.
Maddie, are you part of the Sisters of the Leaf by any chance?
The global movement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she is.
Okay, very good.
Yes. As a matter of fact, they're having an event tomorrow night with a German author that wrote a book about cigars.
I just really think that there's a bigger space for this. And I think there's a way to monetize this. And I think there's a way to work this into events. Like you should be at, every smoking event. I'm talking about like the big ones, right? Like the big herfs that they have, and the big cigar festivals that they have, like teaching this class to people. I think that would have been awesome. Like to have her at the Blanco herf, teaching, like just like doing little because you could probably shorten the class up and just do the basics, and you could do little 15-minute introductories, and I just taught a huge gun event in Atlanta, Georgia. There was 70 people there, and that's our tradition. We've been doing it. This is our 5th year, I think. And every after, Friday we do speaker sessions, and then Saturday we do the actual training on the range, and then afterwards we do a big bonfire, and we kind of all sit around and smoke cigars and drink bourbon. And it would be awesome because there's new people that come through this class all the time, and it would be awesome to have you get up there for 15 minutes and teach people the basics of smoking a cigar, and then kind of be floating and helping people. I think there's a big need for this, and we could probably. I have some really great ideas on how to make this bigger. I really do.
I talked to a couple of cigar weeks, and they're very receptive because they've been doing like the tasting that Agnorsa does, which is also a great component. I also spoke with her aficionado about doing something for like she smokes too, or one of her events. So it's just now really started to take root and grow. I've also done some private events, like how they have golf courses, or I'll give you an example. So there was a real estate group, and 2 of the women I happened to meet them at a seminar, and they were like, okay, so I'm intrigued about cigars, but we were talking about maybe doing something with cigars, but can you tell me in about 2 minutes why we should have a cigar class for the women in our realty group? Because some of the men already smoke cigars. And I said, okay, well, I'll tell you this. Some of the conversations are different outside of the boardroom. So if you're inside a meeting and you're having a conversation, a lot of times people will say, you know what, let's go ahead and after the seminar or whatever event, let's go grab a cigar and a whiskey and let's have conversation. And they're not only building relationships, they're also, of course, networking, and the conversation hits different because they're more relaxed. And of course, over the cigar, people become more open to conversation in a relaxed environment. So I told these women, I said, even if you choose not to smoke on the regular basis, at least if you feel comfortable in that environment, the basics about how to basically cut and light a cigar and actually not inhale, and you can actually partake in that conversation, it can make all the difference in the world and open up opportunities. So they've actually had 2 classes with me, so it was very successful.
And I think it's important. I mean, obviously we're not trying to push people to smoke, if they don't want to smoke, but I also think it's a really interesting, and I have scoured the internet for this. I've not been able to find it, but I think that they should do a case study on PTSD and cigar smoking, because you're the second veteran that we've had on the podcast. And do you know Dee Pittman? Do you know her at all? I'm going to introduce you to her because I think you guys would get along really well.
Yeah.
She's up in New Jersey, and she was a veteran too, and she was actually a sexual assault
survivor.
That was part of her job in the military, was she would deal with sexual assault victims, and she was a nurse. All of this, and so she had some PTSD from seeing all of that stuff, right? And all of those, not just the wounded people coming in, but then on top of that, having to deal with all of the, internal trauma that was happening to women in the military, and probably men too. And so she was like, that's kind of when I started smoking cigars. She was like, and it really helped me deal with those symptoms and deal with that, so you're the second person that said that. And so if you search it on the internet, it always says, oh, well, doctors say that smoking can actually make PTSD worse, but are they just talking about cigarettes?
Right.
That only been the only case study done? Because they're like, what makes it harder for you to fall asleep? And I'm like, but that's the chemicals and nicotine in it. That's not the natural tobacco plant that we're talking about. So I really feel, and of course, after COVID, do we even trust doctors anymore? You know what I'm saying? So I think it would be a really interesting case study for an independent, unbiased organization to do is there a correlation to this? Because so many veterans smoke cigars that are men.
It's cheaper than therapy. It's actually, almost literally saved my life. I'm a suicide survivor. About 11 years ago, I tried to commit suicide. There's a lot related to it. I'm not proud of it, but it's something that I think it's important for people to, if anybody hears that there's life, that there is life worth living, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I was without getting into too many specifics, but I was in a really, really, really dark place and I didn't see any way out. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't get it. Why would somebody do something like that? Well, you're not in your right mind, for one. For two, your brain is lying to you. And, and I hear from people going well, that was so fucking selfish of you to even attempt. And I'm like, you know what? To be honest with you, my mindset was my loved ones would be better off without me.
Right.
So to me, it wasn't trying to be selfish. My mindset was they'd be better off without me because I'm worthless and I'm not worth, all the heartache that I'm causing in their lives. And I'm not, they deserve better than to have me around.
Wow. And you took a different angle and here you are today and it's the imagine if ...
Yeah.
That's
It
awesome
really
that you
is.
made it through. And like Arthur Buford just said, glad you're here, Maddie. I know how bad PTSD, they don't understand it. So yeah, people who are not going through that or people don't understand depression and all of that, it's a whole different mindset. So
they don't understand. And that's why I think it's important, even though, I was raised in that mindset of what goes on at home stays at home, that there's shame and everything. And I think that if we want to break the barriers for mental health being something that we talk about, that it's something that we need to openly be able to discuss. So instead of hiding it, which I did for many years, because it's of course a big matter of shame for me, because now I'm in a healthier state of mind and I realize the repercussions of, God forbid, if I had been successful, how that would have affected those that I love, that it would have been worse for them than if, having me around, that they love me enough to actually, muddle through all of that to actually come out the other side, So when I feel the darkness, I just face the light. And for me to actually be a living testament to, I can have, you could have bad days, but there's good in every day. So even though there might be challenging times, like smoking the cigar, it helps my brain slow down and actually refocus on one of the big things that I say all the time is you always have power. Your power is how you choose to react to a situation, regardless how bad it is. So even though something may be absolutely terrible, you can have a tantrum, you can kick and scream and you can cry, you can lay in bed for a little bit. Just don't unpack your bags and stay there. What you need to realize is you do have power. How do I choose to react to this? Well, if I can't change my circumstances, I can change how I react to it. So I can actually choose to keep my chin up and actually say, okay, now how do I figure this out, versus letting that situation control me and dictate how I react to it.
And you know what? It's so final. Like, you don't come back from that. So,
yes,
you know, having a bad day, okay. Having a bad suicide, no, you don't come back from it. And it sounds kind of harsh, but it is a choice. And unfortunately, there are many that make those choices. My
Well,
heart.
yeah, there's also exacerbating situations. Like I had, and I don't drink that much anymore, but I was absolutely completely schnockered when I made my attempt. I don't even remember making the attempt. I woke up in the hospital. So, you know, the liquor actually helped lie to me.
Of course.
You know, so it was a combination of the depression and then the liquor. And, you know, I own it. I made a terrible decision, but I wasn't in my right mind. Kind of like I'm also a domestic violence survivor. And people don't understand that. They're like, oh, well, why the hell didn't you just leave? I'm like, when you've been broken down to the point where you believe that you're worthless, and you also have a fear in there of what's going to happen. I mean, I literally was at the point where I had bags in my car for myself and my child in case I needed to run and hide. So people so easily saying, oh, I thought you were a strong woman. What the hell's wrong with you? I would have never let that happen. Well, you weren't in that situation, so you can't say shit.
Yeah, Jerah is a big part of that. Jerah does that quite a bit.
Jerah is one of the guiding lights in that, and I give her my hat off and my heart to her, because the things that she has shared, and Maddie, to you as well. So there's places for people like the both of you. There really is.
Well, I'm so excited that we got to get to know you a little bit better. You know, how can people find you on social media, and how can they hear about your classes?
I am on Instagram and Facebook as Cigar Royal, CIGAROYAL. I'm also all over Arizona. I go to the PCA and the TPE every year. I am trying to find a good date. I just recently dislocated my shoulder. So it's kind of, so I still have, I have a brace on. You can't probably see it, but.
Were you lifting that 17-pound Aganorsa leaf to smoke?
Because I would need both hands for that.
I know. Oh my God.
So, I mean, thank you for that. So, I mean, I will be posting when I have my cigar class available online. I'm really excited about the opportunity to extend that to people around the world, because I think, I just think it's a missing component. I mean, we hear great stories from brand owners and whatnot about, like, cigar reviews are great, but they're subjective. And if you're a newer smoker, I mean, is it really going to help you to understand the art of smoking a cigar, or the journey, your own personal journey? Because I hear from people, they try to compare themselves to other people. Well, he can smoke this, how come? Or I don't like smoking that. You know, everybody has their own journey. What I smoked 10 years ago is not what I smoke now. I have grown, and those of us that are seasoned smokers understand that. And I think that especially people that don't have cigar lounges and cigar, you know, community around them, you know, you have people in the middle of, you know, let's say in the Midwest that are like, Maddie, it takes me 2 hours to get to a lounge. Or one of my friends in England, she's like, I literally have to plan a whole day around going to smoke a cigar in a lounge because there's nothing in my village.
Wow.
So, Maddie, a second time I got Clay Atkins ask, how much will you charge for your class?
$20 a person.
Oh, that's it. Great. $20, Clay. There you go. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Awesome. Really
well, that's the other thing. I wanted to, I need to figure out a way to make income, but I also don't want to make it so expensive so it's not reachable for people, you know?
Right.
Which is nice and really gracious.
I can totally help you with that, because I've made an entire career of writing curriculum and training people on things, making money at it. So there's a way to do it where you can price yourself. Like, you can do flat rates for certain things. You can do per person for certain things. Mm-hmm. It's just dependent on the group, where it is, how many people, it is, and stuff like that. So I would love to help you with that. 100%.
Well, thank you. I mean, in person, I charge a bit more because I usually include a cigar. And then when I take it to a lounge, then they usually charge like $35 because it includes a cigar and a drink and the class.
Right. Oh, yeah, there you go.
So
Do you have your own
$35,
cigar
you get the
line?
whole experience is very fair price also.
Do you have your own cigar line when you do that? You have a certain cigar?
You know, it really depends. I do have some cigar brands that are like willing to sponsor. But other than that, then I just I just pick up the cigars myself.
Gotcha.
Nice. Very nice. Excellent.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends. There are some of them that are very receptive. I've just started out with reaching out to different brands about like I'd like to highlight your cigar during my cigar class.
Right.
And of course I try to make it, I'm very conscious about how I want to offer people the opportunity to truly smoke a cigar without like offering a flavored cigar, which a lot of people for some reason assume that a first cigar should be flavored for some reason.
Why?
I'm not of that frame of mind. I also have seasoned smokers attend my class, believe it or not. So I had a gentleman 15, 16 years smoking, and he's just like, I originally signed up for your class just to give you support because I know you from the lounge. But he said, I actually walked away learning something because I also include, like I mentioned, some of the historical component of it. And like people ask all the time, why can't we buy Cuban cigars? Well, not everybody knows why.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's a very big educational piece too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's another question here also, Maddie, by Clay. How can we find out when it's up and running?
If you follow me on Instagram, I'll definitely post it up on Instagram the way I did this chat.
Beautiful.
I immediately put it up and then I put it on my stories, and I'll make sure that it's up, pretty regularly so people can actually see to sign up.
Yeah.
I just have to get the date. I'm actually going to try this month, but two things. One, I dislocated my shoulder, and then secondly, I found out my son that's in Germany, he got engaged, and he's coming for the first time in 3 years. He's coming home.
Oh,
Congratulations. That's awesome.
congratulations.
Very good.
Does your son smoke, by the way?
He does. He does.
Right.
So he and his new fiance are coming. They arrive on Friday, and they'll be here till my birthday on the 13th of June.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Thank
too.
you.
Yes. That's wonderful. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
I think we can certainly help
Yeah.
in some way. So we'll definitely stay in touch for sure. But yes,
Thank
I
you.
think it's time because somebody's thinking about Bruce going to the bathroom. So
Yes,
it's
and
sponsor break time.
Sponsor
So what's
break
going to happen?
What's going to happen? Well, obviously, this is the break that we take before we come back to our show ending, and it always ends on a positive note. And we do this segment called Stump Soccer Squash. And if people understand that, it's a wonderful trivia event. It's an event. People.
It is an event.
It's become an event. People love to kind of win things. So,
And they like to learn history.
and they like to learn a little bit of even Jared does.
No, but she was right out.
Yeah, she does. If it's not
nothing after
1990
99
and later,
Maddie.
she doesn't know.
Maddie, I always get such an attitude before we play this game.
But when we come
You'll
back,
see why.
we will be back, and people will have a chance to win some amazing prizes. Ronnie, you want to give them a little pray tell as to what is coming?
Yeah, we can do that.
Little
Why
pray
not?
tell.
All right. So tonight you're going to have one of Steve Saka's beautiful
Nice,
hats.
beautiful. I love
All
that
right.
Dunbarton Tobacco
I
Trust.
like this color, man. This is an awesome color.
Beautiful.
Along with Steve, we're going to have two of his cigars that we're going to give away tonight.
What do you got? You got the Sopremesa. What do you have in there tonight?
What do we got? We got the Mostra.
Like Ronnie he closes one eye when he looks at things.
Yeah, because
that's his good eye. His good eye
is like Popeye. Popeye only uses the one eye. Hey, olive oil.
He's the one eye bandit.
And to light those cigars, we're going to have an Oliva lighter.
Very
Beautiful.
nice. Very
Beautiful.
nice.
And because you got to put your ashes somewhere, we got a Lotus carry out or anywhere you want. Beautiful glass ashtray.
Very good.
Perfect.
So
Very
we
nice.
got everything for your experience tonight. Yes, well, our sponsors.
Yes. All right, perfect. And we'll come and we'll play that little trivia game once we get back after a word from our wonderful sponsors.
Another day in paradise, snagging cigars.
Howard G Cigars is a dynamic new cigar brand grown from a love for cigar culture and a respect for the artisanship behind the craft. We are a minority-owned family business based in Orlando, Florida. Our current collection delivers 3 exclusive lines: the Black Moses, Magic Stick, All Pro Series, featuring Leon Searcy's signature cigar and Ike Taylor's one-of-a-kind, and the newly released Perfect Round, featuring 18 cigars, a front 9 and a back 9. Visit our website at www.howardgcigars.com. You can find a full list of our retail partners there too. Thank you for making us part of your humidor.
This is Phil Morgan, General Manager of Missouri Meerschaum Corncob Pipes in Washington, Missouri. Our mission since 1869 has been to produce great smoking pipes that anyone can afford. We guarantee our pipes won't be your most expensive, but they just might be the ones you smoke the most. At Missouri Meerschaum Company, we don't just sell our corncob pipes, we grow them, make them, and smoke them. Missouri Meerschaum, Washington, Missouri, since 1869.
Loyalty, passion, courage. These are the founding principles of K by Karen Berger Cigars. The Maduro, the Habano, and the newly rated 93 by Cigar Journal Connecticut. Do yourself a favor and check out this wonderful line of cigars that come from a completely linear company from seed to your hands. A family of 4 generations in tobacco. It started in Odense, Denmark, 141 years ago. 1882, with a factory and a retail store by Eric Peter Stokoby. 4th Generation is a premium quality brand consisting of a selection of tin and loose tobaccos made in Denmark, pipes made of the finest quality briar, and superior accessories from leather goods, lighters, and pipe tools. The selection of 4th Generation products are available in premium pipe and cigar stores in the US and many European countries. Check out 4thGenPipeTobacco.com.
And we are back, folks. Here we go. I figured, to start this segment off, I wanted to get to a question right away that was geared for Jerah.
Yeah, you want to piss her off right away.
Saka Squatch is right here. It's time to play. All right.
Bless you, Cathy. Bless you.
Thank you.
This was procured just for Jerah because I thought that this is something that she would know. So in 585 BC,
there you go.
Look at her face. She's like,
hey, Frank, that red dot showed on your forehead again.
Only Bob knows these questions.
I know.
This was predicted by Greek philosopher Thales, while Lydians at war with the Medes led to a truce. One of the cardinal dates from which other dates were calculated. So what was predicted by this Greek philosopher, Jerah?
That whole freaking question makes no sense.
If you knew the Greek philosopher Thales or Thales or however you'd like.
You know what? You're lucky. You're lucky that I'm reading Meditations right now.
If you would have understood the question properly and understand that one of the cardinal dates from which the other dates are calculated, you would have known that this Greek philosopher predicted a solar eclipse. Okay?
That was the first thing I was going to say.
We all
Maddie had the answer. She didn't know how to answer.
All right.
Christine said that was the birth of Bob.
I'll move on. I'll move down that a few few years
2
later.
centuries more?
Few years later. In 1431, on this date, she is accused of relapsing into heresy by donning male clothing again.
Joan of Arc.
That's right. Providing justification
woman.
for her execution.
Wow.
It was Joan of Arc.
Can you believe
Jerah,
that?
Jerah, I'm not happy with you because these are questions that you should know.
Oh, like I'm supposed to get it before Ronnie's big mouth. You didn't even finish the question.
You knew it right off the bat. Come on.
All right, maybe you'll know this one, Jerah. What the heck? I'll give you.
What year was broad burning?
In 2015, on this date in history, this singer's former home was listed for sale for $100 million. The 2,700-acre ranch in Santa Ynez Valley, California, included a train station, a 6-bedroom house, and a 50-seat movie theater, and 2 lakes.
Barbara Streisand.
Julia Roberts.
Walt Disney.
No, it's actually Neverland Ranch.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah,
Michael
Michael
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah.
He said a train station. I knew Walt Disney had that.
Train station.
Okay.
All right, one more for you people.
Still though, like I still can't like
Never be a
wrap my head
pedophile.
that around his-
Never be a pedophile ranch.
yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Cathy,
Okay.
good thing you showed me the other side with the hair.
Can't wait to see you, Bob.
So in 1972, White House plumbers first break in at the Democratic National Headquarters and install listening devices, which preceded what?
Watergate.
Watergate. Of course. Everybody knows that except Jerah.
Except Jerah.
No, I know that. See, here's the thing. I can shoot faster than them. I can't talk faster than them.
I'm from New York. What can I tell you?
Okay, the last one for you guys. Maybe somebody will get this one right. I don't know. Who knows?
We got most of them right.
Online poker giant PokerStars asked 1,000 of its European customers to select their favorite poker-themed song from a list of choices. What was the number one song that
Hold
they
them down. The Gambler. Yeah, right?
No.
Wasn't it? No.
Nope.
Ooh.
Wow, I would have thought that too.
Nope.
Yeah, really.
Kenny Rogers song, yeah.
No. There were top 2. The first one was Motorhead's Ace of Spades.
Oh, that's stupid.
Really? That's dumb. That's fucking dumb.
And second was Lady Gaga's Poker Face.
I don't know that one.
Hey, listen, these are European
These are
people.
like dad jokes.
This is these are European people that they asked.
Yeah,
I don't know who Kenny Rogers.
What do they know?
What do they know?
Loving the elevator. There you go.
I got it, Chris Eden. I got it. I agree.
So you got one for the audience
I
now,
got one
Frank?
for the audience. This is the one for the audience, folks.
Okay.
And I always come
Hold
up
it. Jerah has something to say about you, Frank.
ahead there.
Frank won't see Maddie. Frank won't let me choose the questions because he knows there'll be things like, "What caliber would I murder him with?"
The kindest caliber of all.
So he stacked them on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was that band that she likes, the
I-
garlic and
I call a
tonic.
yellow flag on the play.
Frank is known as the man of the obscure.
Listen, if it's
Everyone's
up,
saying
I'll find it.
45, Frank. Everyone's saying it's a 45 for sure. they want the complete head gone.
I'm voting for the ever so popular BB gun.
Man, you want punishment? Oh my God!
Come on, the Red Rider, the Red Rider,
the Red Rider BB gun. I will give Jerah some shots, but I have to be in motion.
Oh, I think she'll hit you anyway.
On a horse.
I'll be on a horse.
Yeah, right. Hunting wabbits.
All right, it's for the audience and the prizes,
For
folks.
the audience, here you go. All right, folks. Ronnie, you ready with the music?
This comes from.
All right, yeah. Let's see what decade this comes from. Here we go, folks. You ready with music, Ronnie? Hit the music.
Slingshot. Pick the music, indeed. All right, let's do
Softly.
Softly. There we go.
There we
Beautifully
go.
done.
Okay, wow.
it. Not
He's
bad,
in a
huh?
program.
All
now.
right. In what city was this picture taken during Stephen Singer's trip to Italy? What city, folks?
I just saw that. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Come on, folks. Come on. If you soccer fans been following him, you know where he's at. Milan, Sicily. No.
No.
Amalfi.
I need a city. Amalfi is not a city.
That's a place.
Ravello.
Where's Ravello? Who said Ravello?
Ravello.
Could
Richard
Beard be the winner? Could he be the winner?
Oh no, because he didn't spell it right, Frank.
No.
Oh my God.
Listen, the only people that are having trouble with spelling these days is Bruce. So it's
And Joey.
and Joey
And the chicken.
and the chicken
Joey.
man.
And the way that Chris Eden spelled Pompeii, we have Pompey and Pompeii.
Pompey and Pompey.
It's spelled right. And his wife is a mega travel agent. Go figure, Chris.
So I would say, is Richard the official winner?
Volcano.
Richard Beard Jr.
Yes, Richard, congratulations.
Congratulations, Richard, man. Awesome.
Very
Thanks.
good.
That was really good.
Make sure you send Ronnie your shipping info. And
Whoa, we're
we got
getting a lightning,
storms.
thunder, and heavy rain now.
Yep, there we go.
Congrats, Richard. Make sure you PM me your address, buddy. I'll get that out to you.
Whoa.
As soon as I get to the whoa. That was thunder for Richard.
That's called the show ender.
I think Jerah sent it to us because she's pissed off.
Yes. She gave us the heck.
She wants to kill Frank with lightning. That's the idea. Let God
Frank
handle that. Frank, you're done. That's it. The big man upstairs is pissed off at you.
Don't worry, Jerah. You too will like me someday.
When her bed starts spinning.
Yes.
Maddie, I hope you had a wonderful time. And we just want to thank you for your service.
Oh, thank
what
you
do
so
for the
very
children.
much. Oh my
And for
God.
everything that you're going through, and congratulations on your son this weekend.
Yes.
And an early happy birthday. And I really do think we're going to be talking to you a lot sooner than that. At least Cathy and I will. And there's and Jerah too. You know, we can throw
And
in
even
there.
Jerah.
And even Jerah. We'll definitely have something there.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You guys,
Thank you.
great to meet
Yes.
you. Thank you.
It was truly an
Thank you.
honor.
Good
It was
night,
an
everybody.
honor. Good night, everyone.
We'll see you next week, everyone.
Because you never know what you'll see or hear.
And it won't be good.
And it won't be good.
Sarah, stay safe. I just got notifications that Texas is experiencing a lot of blackouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're having a storm right now, too. So
Yep.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Thank you, everyone.
Tell my brothers to line them up.
Maddie, he messed up. Frank messed up. That's not the way it's supposed to go.
Oh, it doesn't end that way. Hold on. Let's go here. I was all screwed up. Here we go.
Oh, yes, you did.
Tell my brothers to line them up. We'll drink that whiskey from those old dirty cups. to the present, the future, and the past. This ain't my first drink, but I sure it ain't my last. 'Cause this world is so beautiful. I see its love come shining through. This world is so beautiful. I feel its love come shining through.